Welcome. Great to have you here. This is a unique moment, a moment that unites all of us. We all face anxiety and loss. We all see broken systems. We all experience the impact of the climate crisis. This is a unique moment. Welcome. This is a turning point. If we choose to make, to reflect, to learn, to share, and to co-create. And I invite you to contribute. I ask you to contribute. I ask you to partner to fix broken systems. I ask you to join the movement so everyone can step into their change-making power. I ask you to nominate the next generation of changemakers. And I ask you to share your wisdom, your knowledge, your expertise. And I ask you to donate to support changemakers. This is our moment to fix the world. This is our moment to contribute. Today is the day, and you are the one.
Hello, everyone. Be very welcome to this new session on our Ashoka Changemaker Summit. And I'm a pleasure. My name is Maria Merola. I'm the country representative for Ashoka in Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay. And for me, it's a real pleasure to welcome you to our session and to welcome also my co-panelists today to our session on social innovation in decentralized areas. In this session, we will be exploring together with a group of very thoughtful and interesting group of people and colleagues. We'll be exploring the shared knowledge and our thinking about what innovating from decentralized areas means and what are we learning from different experiences around this. I would like first and foremost to thank you for joining us in this session, and maybe you can start by using the chat we have in the column beside my face to tell us where are you connecting from, and maybe some short expectations from this session so we can make sure to cover it as well. Well, I'm connecting from Buenos Aires, Argentina, as I said, and I will go ahead and introduce my co-panelists. And first, who is joining me is Federico Mento. Federico is the country representative for Ashoka in Italy. Hi, Fede.
Thank you so much, Maria. It's really a pleasure to be with you and to be with the other panelists.
That's amazing. And yes, if you give me a second, I'll tell everyone that we are also joined by Delfina Irasusta. Delfina is an Ashoka Fellow and creator and director of the Red de Innovación Local. Letizia Verzulli, a young changemaker from Ashoka, Italy, and member of the organization Noi al Centro. She will tell us more about that. And finally, Carlo Ferrara. Carlo is Sustainability Director for Enel in Argentina, and he will be telling us about his experience from this amazing changemaker company. So Fede, thank you very much for joining us. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about what's your learning and your framing around this issue.
Yes, thank you again. And I would like to share with you some lesson we learned in an amazing journey we had with Enel in a program named Connected Pathways. And this program was localized in rural areas here in Italy, in particular in the center of the country, where we had in the past years very severe earthquakes, and we tried to understand how we could help the community to find sustainable way of change, and through this program we learned several things that I would like to share with you to introduce this discussion, and I hope that this lesson could be very useful. The first lesson that we learn is about what we could call social capital. Basically, the mainstream approach to local development start from an old productive view. So first economy and then community. And if we see to the result and the outcomes of this whole productive view, we can understand that this approach failed. Because if we don't have a strong social capital, there is no sustainable development. So it's crucial, if you are working with rural or in the centralized community, to invest time and energy to build and to strengthen social infrastructure. So this is one of the most important lessons we learn working in the centralized community. The second lesson we learn, and this is the reason why Letizia is with us, that is crucial to empower the youngest to lead change maker process in their communities. This is the second lesson, and it is very important to work with young people because they are the future of the centralized community. And the third lesson we learn in this journey is about leadership, because in the centralized community, we should work with new leaders who care about their community, leaders that have a transformative vision about their relation with people, and they have the power to work in different way, to work in teams of teams, to mastering empathy, and to generate co-leaders that could be an important part of the changing of the communities. And another important lesson we learn is about alliance, or what we call multi-stakeholder coalition. If you would like to work in a decentralized community with a low level of social capital, you should work in a multi-stakeholder coalition view. So you have to put together different stakeholders, organization, local institution, funders, philanthropic foundations, banks, corporation, because you need a lot of power in the same time to achieve big results. And another lesson for me is basically the most important lesson is that we should decentralize our view. This is very important, and it's something that Ashoka is very present. So to have a different view on things, to try to questioning our mainstream paradigms on development, because reality is too fast to be framed in an old theoretical framework. So it's very important to have a decentralized vision and to be effective and to achieve change and to help communities to change their future and their life. So this is something that I would like to share with you, and I guess that this lesson could help us to start our discussion.
I think that's amazing, and I know you agree with me, Fede, that we will talk with our panelists a lot about all these points today, and I'm sure all these points you mentioned: creating social capital, empowering the young, leverage on the power of leadership, create multi-stakeholder coalitions, always question our paradigms, and be able and be open to learning new things, are very specific points that will come up in our conversation with our three amazing panelists today. But thank you for framing it, because I think the learnings in these coalitions during these years have been very, very relevant to the conversation we are having today. So I would love to introduce Carlo. Carlo Ferrara, as I said, is Sustainability Director of Enel in Argentina. Welcome, Carlo. And maybe you can tell us a little bit more about what innovating from decentralized areas means for Enel, and maybe Federico just shared his point of view from working from Ashoka together with Enel and enabling innovation from small communities. And I think it would be amazing to hear your point of view on this issue.
Definitely. Thanks, Maria, and thanks, everyone. And just let me stress to all the people attending the conference that if you have any question, please feel free to write it even during the conference so that we can make it more interactive. And thanks, Federico. I fully agree with all that you said. Decentralized area for too long, company has been managing, they say, have been in touch and in relation with decentralized area just with the formal leaders. And this is a point that showed off how cannot give results. Unluckily, the formal leaders of decentralized area just represent a small part of that community. Is just the institution. Most of the time there are a lot of potential inexpressed and they don't feel represented, and they don't even vote. This is the time a little bit of failure of our representativeness, but this is something that we have to face. And I fully agree even with the issue of social capital. We company with the important operation in decentralized area normally established this dialogue with the community, but just through the institution, supported typical CSR projects. And this time is definitely over for a company who want to embrace a vision of creating shared value with the communities where we operate, but not with simply with the paternalistic approach and assistantialistic approach. I big company, I know what you need, with the central point of view, and I come here designing for you the project that you will need. And unlike most of the time, this was happening, receiving the welcoming from the institution, because definitely it's better than nothing, but was a little bit limiting. So for a big company, it's more and more relevant to establish, to map properly all the stakeholders in the community and to establish a way to cooperate with them. Soon I will leave the floor to two examples of incredible potential, expression of potential that came out from the community itself. So this is something that we as a company, we embrace it fully, and we need networks as Ashoka to facilitate our coming in contact with those realities, because those are the realities that we want to come in touch. These are the realities that we want to establish a multi-alliance perspective in sharing value. As a company, we put at the center of our strategy the sustainability, social sustainability, environmental sustainability. We live in climate crisis. We don't live anymore in climate change. We live in climate crisis, and this is defining our strategy at long-term level for our investment. But at the local level, where do we operate? What is needed is the cooperation with the local community in order to sustain local development, how to involve them into our value chain, how to involve them with our core business operation, not in a perspective of CSR again, but in a perspective of sustainability, fully integrated in our value chain. And last but not least, there are so many companies that finally are realizing that a company cannot be an island of happiness. The company is fine within, is a little bit oasis of happiness, and without taking into consideration all the social needs that are touching the communities where they operate. So this is, I want to give you this reassuring and comment that this perspective is going always more and more towards companies. Clearly, I'm sorry for the corporative moment, but I'm particularly lucky to work in a company that just 3 days ago won the Dow Jones Sustainability Index as world leader in terms of sustainability. So clearly we are a little bit avant-garde, but I want to say that I can see this approach sharing amongst more and more companies. And we definitely need experiences, the one of Delfina, the ones of Letizia, because those are the ones really creating local development.
Thank you, Carlo. And I think it's amazing the way this panel has many different points of views from different perspectives from which we are seeing the same issue. And I know we have many things in common. And Delfina has a lot of experience working from local communities, making innovation happen. And she's an Ashoka Fellow. Delfina, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about your experience working with local communities to promote and make innovation surge.
Thank you, Maria. Hi, everyone. I would like to tell you about this work using the 3 words that are in Spanish. It's Red de Innovación Local, in English, Local Innovation Network. And it's we are talking about cooperation in a decentralized area, so it's really closed. And 6 years ago, when I founded the organization, I saw the enormous opportunity to empower mayors and government officials of cities whose decisions continually impact on people's quality of life. And seeing that decision 6 years from that moment, I think there was a great decision, because we entered, in my definition, to the most fascinating public level where things happen. So I think the decision of working with local governments was really good. And as you may know, that also was a decision because there was so much need. As you may know, in Argentina and in Latin America, the public sector, and especially the local governments, has very low levels of professionalization. So that was something that was really needed. The second word is innovation. Every time a city enters the network, we discover officials that they are trying to know and to investigate their challenges more and more, and they are finding creative solutions for their cities. And I love to say that local governments are the perfect scenario for innovation. And the best part is the third word that we are going to speak much, I think, in this panel, that it's the network. The amazing part was that when you see the local governments trying to understand their challenges and finding solutions, then it's amazing to think that every other local government official and community leaders of other cities in the world are trying to solve the same challenges. And I'm going to tell you one number that really amazed me. Well, you know that in the world we have more or less 2 million local governments, and only in India, you have to listen to this number, there are 250,000 local governments. 250,000. And so that means that there you have 250 local leaders trying to think how to solve, for example, waste management, how they can do that people separate the waste at home, for example. And I know that that's something that all the local leaders are thinking of, that in Argentina, in the region, in Latin America, of course, in the whole world. And this was the question that we asked: what happens if we generate a network so that these people can learn from each other? 6 years from that moment, now we are the largest networks of city officials in Argentina, and we use platforms and we use many different technological tools, starting from the simplest tools, for example, as WhatsApp. One of our programs, we have virtual learning communities that it's a peer program group, and we divided in 10 learning groups, one of environment, other of urban development, another of housing and planning, another human development, urban mobility. And now, for example, 1,200 government officials are divided in all those groups. So that's really interesting what it's that you can learn using the network, working in innovation. And as we are speaking by starting all that in the territory, in the local governments. Many more things to say, and I want to say, Federico, that his introduction was amazing. And as Carlos said, I fully agree too. So I think we are going to then start talking more about that.
Thank you, Delfina. I think that's amazing. And I was struck by the numbers. There are so many local governments in Latin America, in Europe, and around the world. And I think one of the beauties of our panel is that we are talking from 2 continents, 2 different parts of the world, but we will find, and we are already finding many things in common between our views. So I think this is something amazing too in our conversation to keep in mind. Well, Letizia, you're speaking from a decentralized area in this moment, and you're also a young person who has been innovating on the ground. So I think it's wonderful to hear what do you think and what your experience has been creating and making change from the ground, from where problems are. Thank you for coming, for joining us.
Share my screen just to show you some photos. Yeah, so I'm from L'Aquila, from Abruzzo region in Italy. So we are in this in the center Italy, and this is my beautiful city, and also medieval city, historical city is very beautiful, and I will tell you to go there because it's very beautiful. Not now, maybe in the future. Yeah, and I will talk about a little about myself. I'm 18 years old and I'm attending the Classi Lyceum in L'Aquila. That is an high school, more specifically about the classical subject like Greek and Latin. And I have a lot of passions like reading and writing. In fact, in 2014, yes, I created a page on Facebook that is this one. You can search if you want. That was about the relationship with me and my sister. So my sister is autistic. So when I was younger than now, I was trying to find someone who was in the same trouble, in the same situation I was. So I was feeling lonely and I wanted to find someone like me. And thanks to this page, I was contacted to the TEDx organizer from Naples. In fact, in 2017, 17, I was in Naples doing my first TEDx in Naples, and it was very, very important for my life and for my growth because I learned that the value of what you are doing is not what you are doing, but is the network you are creating in that moment with that activity. So another important part of my life, important network I created was in 2019, last year, with Ashoka. I met Ashoka thanks to an advertisement on Facebook. I was just randomly checking some news and I found this advertisement that was about open competition for young change makers in the center of Italy. So I was selected in these 20 places available for the competition. And we won weekend in Ascoli Piceno, that is in Marche region. In this weekend, we just have some work about team building, what's Ashoka, what's a change maker, and how to make the change. We learned that change is possible. This is a very important part of my life because I knew I met two people very important that are Lorenzo and Manuel. They are from L'Aquila and they are, but we never met each other, maybe because we are from different ages, I don't know. Anyway, in Ascoli Piceno, we just thought about some random problem they have in Ascoli Piceno, and we understood that we had the same problem in L'Aquila. So we sat on a table and said, why don't we just make a model that everyone can use? Everyone can use in different cities. So we decided to understand better this problem. we have in the central Italy is the depopulation of young people. So what's depopulation? Depopulation is when young people, especially young people, go away from their cities. Because why they go away from their cities? Because they think that there are no opportunities, and yeah, they don't feel lucky staying there. So this is a second problem. They're missing some opportunities, but actually we have these opportunities. But another problem, the third problem, is that we are missing the information of these opportunities. So sometimes it's difficult to make known these opportunities. And last but not least is the public sector. Everyone is unsatisfied about that. I think it's common in Italy, but yeah, that was, I think, about the survey. So we decided to create an association. This association is named Noi al Centro because the competition in which we met was named Noi al Centro. And this is our logo. I don't know in English, sorry. But it's very important for us because we thought really hard to find the name and the payoff that is different. We really love this design because it's the same of the this place that we met, that is Aiurta, and it has the same color and the same design, yeah, structure. So yeah, it's very beautiful for us, and we hope that we could be an incubator of young's idea, not only from our city, but also from other cities like also Ascoli Piceno. And yeah, we hope to not just think different, but also act different, as our payoff is saying yes. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Letizia. And I think it's wonderful how you ended. You're asking and inviting people to think differently and act differently. And I'm sure you're seeing that happen thanks to your action amongst peers and among others. And we'll talk a little bit more about it in a while. But and congratulations for the amazing work. I just can't believe you've done all that already. And I think it was so interesting listening to all of you. And something that keeps coming to my mind is, in this COVID year in which we've talked a lot and we don't want to stress so much the disruption COVID made to all our lives, and how differently we are starting to think and act every day thanks to due to the pandemic. But something that has been on the table a lot is talking about decentralization has come to more conversations than before, or at least from my perspective. And I'm curious about how you, the three of you, see this in your areas. And the three of you, for you, decentralization, of course, is not new. You're experts from your areas in promoting innovation in decentralized areas. But how is this new conversation due to COVID and promoting and seeing decentralization as something more desirable in a way? How is this affecting your work, and what's your thinking about this? And of course, just feel free to take the floor, whoever would like to answer.
I go. I think I'm going to tell you my experience with COVID. It was very hard for everybody, but also I think it was like amazing how things change, for better and for worse. For a start, I would say that the coronavirus pandemic challenged all the sectors, all the people, all the families, all the industries, but especially challenged the public sector. because the public sector had to lead a response to the virus on different axes, for example, from the city life to the equipment of health centers. And I think that what happened on the connection with the decentralized areas is that facing this contest, then the officials could not stay in a scenario of uncertainty, but on the contrary, they had to answer and learn faster than ever. And here I think that something, a reflection that it's interesting is that the local governments, the city, the communities are the places where you can try, innovate, do experimentation, like be in a very lean way, very fast. And I think that's something really interesting. And in my experience, for example, when we started the pandemic in our community virtual group that I mentioned before, that was integrated by 300 officials, and then everything rose, and now we have 1,200 because people were working in the groups and they were asking themselves, asking others every day. It was like in a daily basis that they were speaking, "Hi colleagues, how are you managing this? What are you doing with, now we are opening our offices again. What are you doing? What are you doing with taxis? What are you doing?" So it was, how are you managing the digital transformation? That was amazing. And I think that's something that challenged the public sector, but at the same time, it was like, I like to say the phrase that when you, how to say this in English and that it sounds very good. It's, I don't know if you heard it, but when the seas goes down, when the water goes down, then you realize who were swimming naked. And I think this is something really interesting because all the challenges that I mentioned before, that there were people trying to solve them, what happened with COVID, they put all the challenges on our tables, on our faces. And something that is very interesting, not only challenge the public sector to work faster, to innovate more, but, and like Letizia just told us, challenge the public sector to connect more with other sectors. So they try to find solutions with the private sector, they try to find solutions with social entrepreneurs. And I think, and I'm going to do a question to another of the colleagues here in the panel, but I think that that's something we can learn. I love this year when I met the open innovation concept and platform that, for example, Enel is they are the leaders of that area. And that's something that it's really interesting, that when you realize that you can work together and find solutions, not only with your colleagues, with your team, but now the team is the whole community, the network, all the networks got activated. The solidarity networks, in Argentina, there is one leader that is very well known. He's called Juan Car, and he's in charge of a network that it's called Solidarity Network. I spoke to him yesterday and he told me that every of the network that he is in charge of are really, it's amazing what's happening there. And all the day the numbers are bigger, and that's something that it's really interesting. And the thing was to be aware of the network and that you can use the network. Just to give you some details.
Maria, if may I jump? I've seen that there are several questions, and I will say that we go to the question that the attendees are putting, but I would like to briefly answer to your question, because from my sustainability point of view, as a sustainability manager, the effort has been a little bit double-faced. On an end, it dismantled, or better not dismantled, but put a little bit in crisis along the view of creating shared value and stop with the philanthropy, because unluckily in front of this emergency, in particular in area where company play a crucial role, we had to activate again the philanthropy approach that we were doing such an effort to leave it because it doesn't bring real development. But clearly we did it. We played our role in Italy, in Argentina, as well as in all the countries where we are, where we have presence, and in particular in the decentralized area, because clearly they were the most affected and the most dependent from a big company present in the area. On the other hand, it's been beautiful to see how beautiful, sorry, in the drama, but beautiful to see how we were right in putting ahead all the risks, socially environmental risks. And let me be concrete, real. We are electricity generator and provider. Clearly, we cannot stop our operation. We have colleagues going on the street and arranging the cables. So we were coming from years and years with the strong commitment of safety of our colleagues, safety in the operation for our colleagues and for all our contractors. And we had to face resistance. I mean, clearly, for someone who has a short-term view, investing in safety is always like, oh, is bureaucracy more, and we were the company pushing it. Well, thanks to all those efforts, clearly we had already several protocols very well established that when we had to add just the elements of social distancing has been just one of the elements of safety that on a protocol that we had already in place, and we were having been working with all our value chain in order to all our contractors adopted. And now they thanked us. They told us, thanks to your pushing years ago, we have been able to keep the operation quickly, even in pandemic time. And this is just one. On the other one, we were working a lot on life balance for our colleagues, quality work-life balance. So we already had a large program of smart working. All the colleagues of Enel were already adopting 1 or 2 days a week in smart working. That means that to remotize all the colleagues, office colleagues, the ones that can be remotized from a day to the other, it's been quite quickly because we had already this good habit and good procedure in place within the company. So that means that all the social and environmental issues that we are pushing at the end demonstrates their value. It's sad to say, but we have to wait the drama to realize that they are so important. Sometimes it's so.
So I think that COVID is it was very useful on an end because it gave the time to young people and also people, adults, to understand what type of person what type of people they are. And COVID is just something that allowed us to grow faster, not only as people, but also as a society. Because innovation is possible, and COVID is just something that is telling us that we need to innovate now. So we had done like a true survey on the during the lockdown in Italy, and we are nowadays attending to a masterclass, online masterclass, in which we are co-creating with other people from whole Italy about some themes like education, work, and something like that. There are like 5 or 6 teams. So I think that COVID is not so bad in that way. Yeah, that's my idea, my opinion.
Thank you very much, Letizia. And I think I'll stay with you a little bit because we have lots of questions coming through the chat referencing to the experience of young people. And I would love to have your opinion on this. One of the questions says, what do you think is missing the most to unlock the change in your community and for other young people? If you had to name one thing that is missing locally in terms of unlocking potential of young change makers, what would you think is the most important thing?
Just say one thing is very difficult, but I would say maybe an hub, a physical hub, because in L'Aquila we always missed a place where go and just have some speak with other people and understand what that the same things I was saying were the same that another person was saying. So we are missing someone to talk with, and you are missing a place where do these things, but also like to do some normal activities like studying. I don't know, why not having fun? We're missing everything like this, maybe because there were an earthquake like 10 years ago. So from then is everything new. But yeah, I would say an hub, or maybe I don't know, some way to have yeah, someone to talk with, or maybe an incubator, or so an incubator of ideas.
And I think that's amazing, because this relates a lot to Delfina's point before about connections and how innovation locally happens whenever, and it goes upline whenever connections are really happening. Delfina was talking about virtual connection opportunities brought by the pandemic. You're talking about infrastructure and necessary for connecting locally.
And Maria, I want to say a point on what Leticia just said. And it's amazing because people are asking, what is motivating young people? In what activity would you like to be involved? And she said, I want to be with others. I want to be face-to-face. I want to talk to others. And probably we would think that if you are designing a public policy, if you are designing a solution, I would think that young people, they're getting connected in the social media. They're getting connected in the virtual spaces. And you just have to answer, what do you want? And you're going to see that that is just an answer that I was not expecting. And I'm just a few years more than Letizia, or maybe twice. But I think that that's something that it's really interesting. We work that point a lot, that you have to use other tools for designing the public policy and the solutions. And maybe that is the reason why so many challenges have not been solved, because we are thinking the solutions just sitting in the wrong place and not listening, as Letizia just said.
I think that's amazing, Delfina. And this brings me to a point Carla was making before also about the challenges, or this was in our previous conversation actually, of the challenges of being a big corporation but thinking locally. And I saw you nodding while Delfina was talking about the importance of going back and making the right questions. And I was wondering, Carla, if you could maybe tell us your experience from sitting in a corporation that thinks globally, but needs to understand that needs to ask the right questions locally to find answers that make sense.
That is the efforts that we are doing in mapping and hearing all the stakeholders in the community where we operate. And as I said, hearing not with a paternalistic approach. This is so cultural that needs a time to be dismantled in the big company as well as in institution, because they are used to think that they know what is the best for person and not is planning all the style of planning. And regarding this, I want to mention a project that I've been developing in another country, always Latin America, is in Colombia. We were in a community where we build a hydro plant, so definitely we had a long relationship with the institution, and they were used to come to ask in a very demanding way, institution, and asking for money, 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 money. So the big efforts has been to change the mentality of the community itself to start trusting in themselves and asking themselves what the institution is asking for you. Do you really like it? Do you really need it? What do you want to do? And we have been financing a local entrepreneurship program based on persons' talents. What do you like? What do you want to do? Don't think about we can get fund through the institution for this, for this, for this. Doing a very, very door-to-door and thanks to facilitator and coach, asking to the person, what is your ultimate driver? Is the money? Is the happiness? What you really do? What you really want to do with your life? Because at the end of the day, this is what everyone should ask to themselves. And once that as this answer is easier to build up a path to get a work through the passion, through the talent, but not the way around. And this has been, and this after 3 years, is still giving incredible results. Persons that were doing accountancy and are artists, and now lives by an artist. People that have been involved, because this is important. We have, as mentioned before, we have a lot of programs to involve into our value chain all the persons of the community. We have what Delfina was mentioning, and I invite all the entrepreneurs that are listening to give a look to open innovability. We have challenges open where we are looking for ideas from you, because we don't have all the answers. It's time for open innovation. Probably there are better answers outside than within the company. So we are looking for hear them. And last but not least, I want again, the centrality of the persons, and follow the leaders. Don't worry about, this is important. A good leader, if he has a great idea, it will come out, it will show, it will blossom. And in this we can help as a big company, but even local institution, because when the local government has to show off with the governor, if there has been a great idea deployed at the smallest level, he will clearly put it on the table. And for great idea and with great results, there are no problem of visibility. The visibility will arrive because the people, the network that have been involved within this idea will create this hype on this idea. So this is something that I really believe in. Don't be ambitious, even from the smallest town in the most remote area. Be ambitious, don't see limit for, because if your idea has a potential, it will scale up. Delphi is an expert about this.
And Carlo, I want to add one comment to your reflection, because we are talking now that what an effort is for a company to transform all the way that they are working and then avoid or stop giving money to the people and to the leaders and to the entities just in a one-way relationship, but to ask good questions, be close. And one thing that I want to add, that I see very few experiences in territories, and what we see is that doesn't happen, to build long-lasting relationships. Because all what we see is once they do the great effort in the transformation of asking the good questions and being involved, then it's a touch and go. And this is for everybody, not only for the private sector, for the public sector. And one experience that for me is amazing, and I think that the Global South has to learn much from the North part of the world, is that they have developed experiences that they are called, for example, in the public sector, they are called boards and commissions, but they are the institutionalized spaces where the multi-stakeholders coalitions work together, not only in organizations, but also the community leaders, the people. And the best part is that boards and commissions, for example, if you see a small town, a small city, let's say in the US, we can say in the UK also, then you're going to see that once a month, they are meeting to talk about the challenges, to find solutions, to speak about the different possibilities once a month. And that's I think that really interesting. We are, I don't know if Italians, Latinos, we have like something of the culture that we are, I don't know. But I think that maybe we are not structured enough to maintain the long-lasting relationships. And this in community, the half part of the community is confidence. Is like liking to work with each other, not spending time in seeing if the other has bad intentions. That's just, if you meet people, if you talk, if you meet again, and in the next month you meet again, then things are going to be solved.
Thank you for your reflection. Really very, very deep, very useful to frame this issue. I would like to reflect with you also about, because we talk about challenges, I would like to listen to you about opportunities, because what we are seeing now from our perspective is that after COVID, a lot of decentralized places are reaching new people that decide to shift from the urban center and to have a more sustainable life. And basically is something that could change our reality. So from your point of view, which are the opportunities for the decentralized area in the next years?
If nobody goes, you know that I go. Carlo, just you go.
No, please go ahead. Go ahead. I join as well.
I heard a colleague some weeks ago, and he said something that's so interesting. And he said, we are living in the 2020. I know we are living COVID and everything, but we are living in an extraordinary time for us. And just imagine if we lived centuries ago. If centuries ago I had an idea, then who I was going to tell that idea to? To my neighbor and nobody else. Now, if I have an idea, if Letizia have an idea in L'Aquila or any other part of the world, then that idea can go worldwide. And that's amazing of our time. So I think that the opportunity for the local governments, for the decentralized areas, is just to raise the hand, to get realized, how I can say it in English, but to be really aware that you have the world just in front of you more than ever. And that's something that's an opportunity. Technology now for the local government, for the local areas, for the decentralized areas, it's amazing. And I think that we are the challenge. As Carlos said before, you have to realize that we are looking for you and that everybody can be part of our team. And I like to think that we are in a small town in, as I said, in India, as I say, maybe in Germany, in Australia, in Costa Rica, in Argentina, wherever you are, then you can point out and then you can raise your hand, and you have to, I think that you have to tell two things. First, your challenges very clearly, and you have to work with the information and very clearly say what you need. And the other, you have to be in love of your purpose and what you need and what are you working for. And I think that the territories and the people that get these two things, they're going to win in this great area, like time of opportunities.
Well, just a quick add, I fully agree with Delphi, but I see also, I'm sorry to back again to the challenge, but the floating people could be a challenge for certain decentralized area. The good issue is that won't be floating people like population that will be there just for tourism. So normally tourism is a little bit invasive, but definitely will develop a sense of belonging even to the decentralized area. But we have to keep attention. Definitely for institution will be a question to put themselves. What they have to size services for which kind of population? The normal population, the floating population, the ones that will be transferring there on not so regular basis. This is going to be a little bit an issue. The good point is that it's so evident that the world is so interconnected. The needs of the city are satisfied most of the time by decentralized area, and the issue that the quality of life probably in the centralized area is much more attractive and much more sustainable than the one in a mega capital, mega city. So despite that, unluckily here in Latin America is a trend that is keeping growing the mega cities, and I don't think that it's gonna be under question in the short term. But those are issues that the COVID definitely opened. But it's good because the centralized areas, they demonstrate the relevance even for the big city.
From the point of view of young people, I can say that young people should stay in small cities, like not small, but maybe not so big like L'Aquila, because there you can understand what you want to do, and you have the chance to realize what you need to do, because you have the whole opportunities. You can create your own opportunities, and you can use these opportunities. So this would be a good point to stay in a small but not so big city. Also because these small cities sometimes are more I don't know, there is more human connection. You can just grow up with those people. So I think it's a very good point, this one. Yeah, I would just stay in a city like that, because it can help me with my own person. Yeah. That's it.
And I think it's wonderful, because I saw many of the questions relating on what does people need, what does young people need, what do young people need to stay and create innovation in smaller areas. Letizia, you're saying, it's just, I would stay because I see things, see problems, and I see opportunities for creating solutions. And I think this really ties well to what Delphine is saying. Small places just have to raise their hands, say they're there, show challenges. All the technology and the infrastructure and the network is already there. I think it's a matter of fact that what we call an Ashoka change making, being there, being present, being aware of challenges and about our own power to be there and solve challenges. And of course, the role of enablers and the corporate sector is key in enabling these ecosystems to exist and this ecosystem to function really in a way that is functional to everyone. I think this is a discussion that is coming up, is evolving, and I loved the exchange of opinions and of experience we had in our panel, because this is a conversation that is shaping, and it's so important to hear the voice of change makers from different sectors, from different industries, with experiences that come together to this amazing conversation we had today. I think it's been a very good space. Thank you all for all the wisdom and love you shared with us here today. And Federico, maybe close. before we thank the audience too?
Yes, thank you so much for your ideas and for your passion, because I learned that passion is really, from you, is really important if you would like to change the reality. And thank you for this lesson, and thank you for all the people attending this session.